Chicago's bitter battle over minimum wage comes to an end today. The city council passing a proposal to increase minimum wage to $13 an hour by 2019 in a 44-5 vote. Our very own Jeff Flock is there with the latest. So, Jeff, it passed.
Yeah, he did it. That was Mayor Emanuel who pushed this through. You know, the state is also considering an increase in the state minimum wage. He wanted to trump them and do it sooner, and he did. Current federal minimum wage, $7.25. Take a look, Melissa, at how this breaks out. $8.25 in Chicago currently, but it goes to $10 in July of next year, and then 50-cent increases for 2 years to $11 by 2017, and eventually by 2019 it will be $13. It's not the highest minimum wage in the country. That Seattle recently passed a minimum wage that in 7 years will hit $15. A lot of people here wanted it to be $15. You know, this mayor, Mayor Emanuel, has been he faces a re-election battle right now, and a lot of people call him Mayor 1%. He hangs out with all the rich people, they say. So he's wanted to try and push this through to emphasize that he cares about working people. So that's where it stands.
Jeff Flock, thank you so much for that. And for more on this, let's bring in Rob Basso, Advantage Payroll Services President. Charlie and Guy are back with us as well. I mean, it's a very different economy. They compare themselves to Seattle and say, you know, that in Seattle they're making $15 an hour. Chicago's very different. Rob, what do you think about this?
I think that all it's going to do is raise prices for the consumers in the Chicago marketplace. And the reality is, if they don't raise the actual minimum wage on the outside counties, it's going to do damage to their livelihoods. I think it's a big mistake, and I think it's just a vote grab is what it is.
Yeah. Charlie Gasparino, I mean, they have 6.1% unemployment in the city of Chicago. It's not like it's 8% or 10%. Yeah. Maybe their labor force is tight enough for this.
I would say the economics on raising the minimum wage is really bad, but this is really a political story, and here's why. I mean, there is going to be an economic story. Small businesses are going to hire less. I mean, that happens all the time. Every study shows it doesn't matter where you are in the political spectrum. It kills small business. But here's the thing. This is where the Democratic Party is going. We should point out that Rahm Emanuel was a Clinton Democrat, a new Democrat early in his life. I know he was President Obama's chief of staff, but he was a centrist Democrat. The centrist Democrats are now moving very far to the left. This is where Hillary Clinton is going to go in 2016, doing the same sort of stuff.
Guy, I mean, you're our political expert. You agree with that?
That's absolutely correct. And I lived in Chicago for 7 years, and look, you always like the idea, and voters love the idea of folks at lower levels who are in entry-level positions getting paid more for their work and bringing home a bigger paycheck. That's something that sounds good and feels good to people. Now, when you get into the actual economic arguments, which are much harder to make, you need not just a quick soundbite, but a couple of paragraphs to explain why it's not a good idea in the broader picture. Raising the cost of creating jobs creates fewer jobs. That is a harder thing to explain to people who on some intuitive level love how it feels to say, why, yes, let's increase the minimum wage.
But the Democratic Party is against all explanation and rationality on this. I mean, it is moving to the left on so many issues that defy explanation.
That's true. We got to go. Thanks, you guys. I want to bring your attention to the markets. We've got a little breaking news right now. The Dow roaring to a new all-time high of 17,897, inching closer to 18,000 than ever before. Another all-time high, our national debt breaking through $18 trillion for the first time ever. Let that sink in. $18 trillion. Money took to the streets of New York City to see what you thought about all this. Take a listen.
I mean, you care that it's going up, but it is one of those numbers you can't really get your head around.
It's an incredible number. We got to do something to get it back manageable before it's too late for the next generation.
It's just so big it doesn't mean anything anymore.
That means something.
Why is that?
Because it's a lot of money.
That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy, and it's unrealistic. And they keep on spending and spending and spending without, you know, it's people like us that have to pay for it.
I think it's a shame that they allowed it to reach those numbers to start with.
We got to tackle it because it's gonna destroy our country. I'm embarrassed that our U.S. government doesn't bear down and fix it. It's time for us to take care of ourselves.
I mean, it's really amazing. You go out to people on the street, they all have the same reaction. Everyone is outraged about it. At the same time, you know, you've got to ask yourself, where is all that money going? Because our infrastructure is crumbling. Watching 60 Minutes, they're talking about how the bridges are falling down and, you know, how we're in disrepair. The answer is always to spend more money, but we're spending more than we ever had before. Where is the money going?
The scary part is it's been 70% increase in the last decade, and basically since 2009, since Obama has taken over. Now, it's not totally his fault. He inherited some policies, but here's the challenge. This is the thing that we should be talking about. Why is it so important for us to pay attention to the debt? Because once the debt gets higher and higher and higher, the interest payments on those debts are going to increase. How are we going to pay for that? We're going to have to increase taxes, or we have to lower social services. And no party has been interested in doing either of those things.
I have been loving your answers on social media, on Twitter. Paul O'Brien says, it makes me want to throw up. How outrageous. Yeah, I agree with you with that. It's legend. At this point, I'm afraid our kids won't be able to pay it all back. It is irresponsible of us to do this to our kids. Bob Powell says, ticks me off, but then I realize the numbers will likely be $20 trillion before the president leaves office. A lot of good responses there. Thanks to all of you for joining us today. Keep an eye on the markets. Liz Clayman takes it away.